Today is habit number 2 in our 5-minute habit series. If you're watching this episode, that means you probably watched last week's episode on eating slowly. Way to go. That means you are 7 days in. Now, again, don't expect to conquer habit in just 7 days. It might take 14 days, if not a little more, okay? So don't rush this. We're doing a video every week to keep you on top of things, keep you motivated and held accountable. But habits take a little longer than 7 days. Don't forget that. Today, habit number 2 is stop eating at 80% full. Now, don't worry about this 80%, okay? It's just a generic number that we like to use because we want to show you that we're somewhere in between halfway and feeling hungry still at 50%, right? But also we're not all the way to 100% and actually filling ourselves up to the brim. How do you really practice this habit and stopping at 80% full, right? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. First, overall, the biggest thing you got to do is be a lot more mindful when you're eating, okay? So how do you become more mindful and conscious when you're eating versus just the mindless eating that some of us do? If we're working at the same time we're eating, we're watching a TV show, right? I would recommend taking those things out immediately. Just sit down in a quiet, calm area that you feel peaceful at, that is not super busy, there's not people talking everywhere. Maybe even silence your cell phone or put it on, do not disturb, because we want you to really focus on your meals for the next 7 to 14 days, because that's how we're gonna build this habit. So now that we are sitting down, we're focused, we're aware of what we're eating, we're looking at our plate, how do we get more mindful with the way we eat? There's some really good strategies I have for you that will help you slow down your eating on top of being more mindful at the same time. So you can kind of find a barometer for where that 80% is for you. Strategy number 1 is throwing away your normal utensils, right? Your spoon, your fork, your knife, and adding in chopsticks instead. I know, it's pretty difficult to eat with chopsticks unless you're used to doing this. Most people aren't. That's the idea. All of a sudden you start using chopsticks, you're hyper aware of what you're eating and how you're eating it, right? So that's what we want to see. So try out chopsticks. Now don't worry, if chopsticks aren't your thing, you're like, that's way too hard for me, I'm not gonna be able to eat anything, let alone 80% of what I want to eat, right? Don't worry, there's other ways we can do this. Strategy number 2 is using your non-dominant hand. For instance, I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna eat with only my left hand. All of a sudden, again, we're hyper-focused on the way we're eating because we're not used to eating in this specific manner with your left hand or your right hand, depending on what hand you're dominant in. Strategy number 3 is one of my favorites because I like having a goal to hit. When I'm being focused on something, I want to be measuring it somehow. So try chewing down on your food 30 to 50 times before you actually swallow it. That's right, 30 to 50 times. It sounds like a lot, but you'll get used to it. And the idea, again, is we're placing this into your life to practice it for 7 to 14 days and make it a habit, okay? You don't have to do this for the rest of your life. Strategy number 4 is examining your food. Look at the texture, look at the size of it. What does it smell like? What are the shapes and the curves? All of a sudden, you're looking at your food and you're deciphering between the textures, the shapes, and now you're really thinking about what? Only your food. You become more present while you're eating. Strategy number 5 has really helped a lot of my clients, and that's putting all the food you're gonna eat on your plate versus having some still left in the fridge or in the microwave, or maybe some of it's on the counter, you're gonna go back for seconds. No, there's no more seconds anymore, okay? We're gonna focus on eating 80% and stopping, right? So we wanna have it all on our plate. We don't wanna know there's a little more over there and you start thinking about that, because then you're not thinking about what you're eating anymore and you lost your presence and awareness. Now let's fast forward into what it's gonna feel like when you stop eating at 80% full. You're gonna feel a lot more energized, you're gonna feel a lot more present in just your general day, and you're also gonna feel satisfied and not full, right? We wanna feel satisfied and not full. We don't feel lethargic, we don't wanna feel heavy, we don't want those types of feelings. And that's what happens when we don't stop at 80% full, because we eat a little too much, because that satiety signal we talked about in our last video takes about 20 minutes. So we gotta give it time. So if we're using last week's habit, eating slowly, and then we're also stopping at 80% full, you can see how this is gonna work really well for you. You're gonna eat less, and you're gonna feel a lot better. That's it for this week. We're gonna stop eating at 80% full, lock in habit number 2. I'm excited for you. If you have any questions, please drop them below. Shoot me a comment or a message. I'd love to get back to you and help you do this. Like the video, it really helps more people see it, and share it with your best friend or neighbor because they probably need a little help too in this department. Go out there and conquer your meals and seize the day. Lift life.